Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So we now just have a single week left in both the LEC and the LCS regular season. Yes, we do still have playoffs yet to come, and that's going to be, I don't know, another like 2, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. But then before you know it, it's going to be September, and that's when the offseason rumors really start heating up. So over the next couple of weeks, I want to cover a couple different teams, a couple different players heading into this offseason. I want to look at, like I said, from the players and the team's perspective of what I think a potential offseason looks like for them. And in this video today, I want to talk all about Rekkles. Obviously, he is not a free agent. I don't believe. I can pull up the global contract database real quick. I wish I would have done that already, but I don't believe he is a free agent, but obviously he has said he doesn't really want to stay in the ERLs another season. He wants to make it back to the LEC if possible, or make it back to a major region. I don't know if he is only looking to go into the LEC, or if the LCS would be considered as well. But yeah, when we take a look at the global contract database, you'll see here Rekkles with KCorp. He is signed until 2023, so KCorp do still have him for one more year, but at this point in time, and Wooloo just like tweeted this out the other day, KCorp has still not bought an LEC slot, obviously. That doesn't mean they're not actively trying. That doesn't mean they're not going to get one, but right now they don't have one. And we've already seen one get sold, and it seems like that's the cheapest one. It seems like Misfits had the lowest asking price. It seems like Astralis, maybe SK, if they are going to be selling or whatever, seems like their prices might be a little bit higher, or they might be, not looking to sell only 80% of the slot. They might be looking to sell 100% of the slot, and it might cost a lot more money. So maybe KCorp comes into the LEC, maybe Rekkles stays with them, and if KCorp goes in, Rekkles is staying with them. Like, that's, almost a lock at this point. But if KCorp doesn't, that's where things start to get spicy. That's where things start to get interesting. So I put out this poll a couple days ago, and I said, what do you guys think Rekkles is going to do next year? And we got 893 votes on this. And for my Twitter, that's actually pretty good. That's probably the most votes I've ever got in a Twitter poll. I don't do Twitter polls all that often, but I've definitely had ones get like 100 votes, like 75 votes, whatever. But obviously, Rekkles is insanely popular. That's why I've covered him throughout this whole season. That's why I want to make these videos and stuff. But you guys said LEC, not on KCorp, is your most likely choice, which means that I think most people out there think that KCorp is not going to make it into the LEC. Because like I said, if KCorp makes it in the LEC, he's staying with them. So if you think he's going to stay in the LEC, but it's not going to be on KCorp, that means KCorp wouldn't get in, and then Rekkles is going to have to go to another team. The interesting thing there is, KCorp has his contract, so there would have to be a buyout, which that could end up being good for KCorp. Because if you remember, KCorp bought Rekkles for $500,000, I believe, from G2. So if KCorp can sell him off for $500,000, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, that would be a nice little influx of cash for them. Are they going to be able to reach some kind of buyout or whatever? Are they going to keep Rekkles behind a buyout? Would they maybe let him go for free, since everything he's done for them over the last year? I don't know for sure, but that's kind of one wrinkle. We also had 7.1% of people say he's going to stay in the ERLs, which would obviously, that would be KCorp in the ERLs. That'd be KCorp doesn't make it to the LEC, and Rekkles can't get on any LEC or LCS team. So people don't think it's that likely. Obviously, 36% of people think he's going to get into the LEC with KCorp. And then we have 13% of people thinking he might go to the LCS. So I wanted to take a look at all the different kind of teams and talk about everything that's going on. And right here, you can see I put this 500 and 500 because I believe this is the 500,000 that G2 got for selling Rekkles to KCorp, and then I also believe Rekkles' salary was 500,000. So I believe in total for this past season, KCorp spent $1 million on Rekkles. That's straight off my memory. I didn't just look that up, but if I can recall correctly, that is what happened at the beginning of this year. So let's go through all of the different teams, all the different options. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on each. So first up in the LEC, Team Vitality, this is a no. I don't think there's any way this is going to happen. Obviously, they have Carzzy. Not that Rekkles over Carzzy isn't possible. Carzzy hasn't been that insane this year, but Carzzy is super young. He has a bright future. He's already a multiple-time LEC champion. He's already made it to semifinals at MSI. He's already did he get out of groups at Worlds as well? He's done some things. I don't think they would do it anyway, but also Perks, I don't think he dislikes Rekkles, but I know he doesn't want to play with Rekkles. Perks always memes about how he doesn't want to play with Rekkles. I don't think their play styles and stuff match up. Just the same reason that Rekkles and G2 didn't really work out. You guys know that Perks is like the heart and soul of the G2 team, even to this day, really. They're built out on a lot of the same things. So I think for the same reasons Rekkles and G2 didn't work out is the same reasons why Perks doesn't want to play with Rekkles and won't. G2, been there, done that. Obviously, Caps and Jankos have been pretty vocal about how it didn't work out. It seems like Jankos specifically didn't really enjoy Rekkles, not as a person, but as a player. Don't think there's any way he's going back to G2. Fnatic, maybe starts to get a little bit interesting. And I've seen people say that they think Rekkles might actually be coming to Fnatic, because we've obviously seen this before. We've seen Rekkles leave, go somewhere else, it not work out, and then him come back home to Fnatic and maybe remember why he should have never left in the first place, or remember how great things can be. Because so far, these two guys split apart, they haven't been able to do the things that they could do together. Even though Upset and Hill is saying at some points been called, one of the best bot lanes in the world or whatever, Fnatic made it to Worlds and they had all the craziness and drama and they flamed out. And then this year, they might not even make playoffs and they might not even make Worlds. Rekkles with G2 last year didn't make Worlds. And then obviously this year with KCorp, he wins an EU Master title and then doesn't even make it to EU Masters a second time. I don't think Fnatic's just going to kick Upset or anything like that, but what if Upset wants to leave? What if Upset wants to go to another team? What if Upset, isn't happy not making playoffs or not going to Worlds or whatever? Or what if Upset wants to go and cash out, maybe at an LCS team? We know throughout history, Upset has gotten many LCS offers and he's considered them before and he's thought about going, but he's always said no. But maybe this time he's going to say yes. I don't know. What if a team like Team Liquid came calling this year and wanted Upset to come play for them? What if another one of these big money LCS teams? I don't know. It would be interesting. I think it's unlikely, but I think a Rekkles and Fnatic reunion could be spicy. And then we have Rogue. I think this one could also be interesting. Like, I don't know, maybe. How good is Comp? And how good does Rogue do this year? Because obviously Rogue has Comp. They got rid of Hansama last year to get Comp. You got to assume Comp is cheaper than Hansama, and I'm not exactly sure why they got rid of Hansama last year. Did Hansama want to leave? Did they want to move on from him? I don't know why they got rid of Inspired Hansama, to be honest, but would Rogue look at Rekkles over, Comp after the year that he's had and Rogue has had? I really doubt it. It seems pretty unlikely to me. Heretics. Is Heretics willing to drop a bag on Rekkles and build their team around him and have him be their star? Because with Team BDS's last year, we've seen what it looks like when you come into the LEC without a plan, try and go cheap, try and go young, spend all this money on an LEC slot, and then do nothing with it. It ends in disaster. So I don't think Team Heretics will want to go down the same road that BDS went down this year. I hope and I think Heretics is going to come in and they're going to spend. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be active. And one of the biggest names out there that's going to be potentially available is going to be Rekkles. Could I see Heretics building their team, franchise, brand, everything around Rekkles? Maybe. I think it would be an interesting option, honestly. BDS, I think they're unlikely. They have Grabs. Obviously, Grabs and Rekkles did not work out the first time. Yes, Rekkles, I think, played well with G2. He won an MVP, but, I don't really know how well they got along, if they like each other. If not, either way, I think BDS is a mess. I don't really think he goes there. SK, I think money is going to be an issue. I don't really think this is possible. Astralis, same thing, money. These two teams seem to always go cheap. This doesn't really seem likely. I think Unforgiven has been a beast here. I don't think Mad Lions would go for Rekkles at this point. And then Excel, they have Patrick, and he's also been a beast. So overall, if I'm looking at the LEC, it seems kind of hard. There's not really a lot of great options. Like, there's no one place that I'm like, oh, here, this is where I could see Rekkles going. But all in all, if I had to rate the potential landing spots for Rekkles, I would say Team Heretics is potentially the most likely and the most interesting. I would say maybe, I don't even know. I would say maybe Fnatic is number 2 and maybe Rogue is number 3. Because you got to remember, this has to be a team that has the money to be able to potentially pay for a buyout or for the $500,000 of Rekkles salary, which eliminates a lot of the teams in the LEC already. They also need an AD carry, and they probably have to be a decent team too. I don't think most bad teams are going to spend the money on Rekkles, so that Rekkles would want to go to most bad teams. So I really think those are the only 3 possible teams in the LEC. Maybe BDS if they completely have a change of heart and want to get aggressive and want to spend this offseason. I don't know. Something interesting I noted down here as well is that you also have some big free agents. We know Selfmade, he has the picture of like, hey, I'm the #1 Reki fan or whatever. Like, could somebody go out and get a core of a Selfmade and a Rekkles? We know that these two guys have worked well and played really well together in the past. You also have Nemesis out there as another potential guy that somebody could pick up and build a team around. I don't know. You have, the old Fnatic team, maybe a team like Heretics, BDS, whoever potentially wants to grab the old Fnatic roster and get them together. Now, it's it's not only possible that KCorp could get in the LEC, you also have Koi, you also have Giants as other teams who could potentially buy their way into the LEC, and maybe they become potential landing spots for Rekkles as well. But overall, again, when I look at it, there doesn't seem like a surefire team in the LEC that's going to be like, Rekkles is going here for sure. Partly because the 80 carries in the LEC are so strong right now. Like Comp is good. Unforgiven is good. Patrick is good. These guys are playing well. Karji's been good. G2 has Flockhead. There's a lot of 80 carry talent in the LEC. And the teams that don't have great 80 carries, like SK, like Astralis, they don't really spend money. So I can't see them, dropping $1 million on Rekkles. Nor do I think Rekkles would solve other problems anyway. Then we go to the LCS. A couple teams I want to get off right off the bat. C9, they have Berserker. This guy is just one of the best 80 carry prospects in the West. I don't really see them as even being a potential option. TSM, maybe. But they're such a dumpster fire at this point. Dumpster, and do they spend money? Would Rekkles come to NA for them? Like, once upon a time, I thought Rekkles and TSM were the perfect pair. Like the most popular NA team, one of the most popular EU players, huge brand, huge personality, huge style. I thought they could have both taken each other to the next level. But all of a sudden, Rekkles is a guy who is very, very vocal about wanting to compete for international titles, wanting to build to his legacy. He wants to win Worlds. That's his ultimate goal. And TSM, they're just not going in that direction. They're not even spending money anymore. Reggie, he wants to say, hey, I'll sell my car, sell my house, yada yada yada, but they're not really doing that. I don't know if TSM is really set on this new young 80 carry, if they're going to be playing around him and going for him for the future or whatever, but TSM's in like a rebuilding phase. I can't really see Rekkles coming into a rebuild, so I'm just going to say rebuilding and give him a no. CLG, same type of thing here. They have Luger, and they're also kind of NA, low spending. I can't really see Rekkles. Can't really see them going after Rekkles or Rekkles going after them. Dignitas, no money and selling. Now, what becomes interesting for Dignitas is what if they become Beast Gaming? What if they become, Sentinels? What if they become FaZe? Then could you see them, going after a guy like Rekkles? Maybe, but for now, we don't know. Immortal, same thing. No money, bad org, bad team, not somebody that Rekkles is going to, leave KCorp or leave Europe or whatever, come halfway across the world to play for. 100 Thieves, they have FBI. He's resident. I don't really see FBI resident, one of the best in the LCS. Can't really see this happening. FlyQuest, another team with not very much money, maybe selling, no money. Selling. It's kind of weird because there's, a lot of the LCS teams are known for spending a lot of money and having these huge budgets and everything, but at the same time, so many of the teams have like no money and don't spend at all. Obviously, EG, they have Danny, one of the brightest futures in the LCS. There's no way they're going for him. GGS, I can't really see this either. Bad team, not a huge spender. No really way this is happening. So really, when I look at all the LCS teams, there's only one real logical possibility, and it's TL. They're the only combination of a team with money, a team with potential 80 carry opening. Is Hansama going to come back next year? Does Hansama want to come back? Is he enjoying Team Liquid? Is he enjoying the LCS? Are him and Core JJ getting along? Does TL want him back, depending on how the rest of this year goes? But they have the money, and Rekkles could be good for them. Now, would Rekkles and Core JJ fit well together? I don't really know, but it's at least, I think, the most likely and the most possible. I still think it's very, very, very unlikely, though. So I would say, like, TL maybe 1, TSM maybe 2, and other than that, no one in the LCS really that I think is logical at all. The only teams that I could maybe see as being possibilities is, again, Sen, FaZe, Beast, Optic, anyone like that coming in. If Beast Gaming comes into the LCS and they can grab a guy like Rekkles, I think they would absolutely go for something like that. And again, same thing. If they can get a core of like self-made and Rekkles and bring them over to NA and then fill that in with some North American players and talent around them, all of a sudden that becomes a team that you can brand, a team that's going to be fairly competitive, a team that could be fun and exciting. So I think that a new team coming into the LCS, which I think we're going to be getting, I think 2 or 3 of Immortals, Dignitas, and FlyQuest could all be leaving the LCS this season. And if some of these big name teams come in, I think they become the most likely landing spot for Rekkles over a team like TL. So yeah, I think that's Rekkles' biggest shot, is both in the LEC and the LCS, getting on one of these new teams coming in that's looking to build a fan base, build an audience. And I think that investment of the 500, 600, $1 million, whatever, into getting a bunch of new fans and actually winning games and getting started on the right foot so you don't end up like a Team BDS could be really, really good. But at the end of the day, I do think it is more likely he's going to stay in the LEC. At this point, I would probably say the most likely landing spot is KCorp. I think KCorp may get into the LEC. If they don't, it's maybe possible that Rekkles even stays with them in the ERLs one more year, just because there's not going to be very many great landing spots. So I would say KCorp 1, Heretics 2, I would say Fnatic 3, and then give me some new team that's not in the LCS yet as 4, as the top 4 most likely landing spots for Rekkles going into 2023. If you made me pick a 5th, I would probably say Team Liquid over Rogue, honestly, but again, I think both of those are fairly unlikely. But those are my top 5 landing spots for Rekkles for 2023. Hopefully this was a full breakdown of all Rekkles' different choices and options, which again, there's not a lot of great ones. This is going to be a tough 80 carry market, but I hope Rekkles lands somewhere cool. I hope he lands somewhere good. And remember, the off seasons always get crazy. They always get wild. So many dominoes, so many moving parts. Who knows what player isn't happy at their team, what team isn't happy with their players, and what 80 carry positions are going to open up all of a sudden. And if one does open up, Rekkles is going to be one of the top candidates to fill in. But again, it's only August. This is still super, super early. But this was my very early breakdown of the offseason for Rekkles in 2023. But yeah, definitely drop a like if you guys did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Definitely want to hear your guys' comments. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think the offseason is going to look like for Rekkles, or where you think he's going to end up in 2023. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.